Hello, hello, my darlings. How are you? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. All right. So let me see who all is here. Let's see who all is here. Okay. So Tan John says she was first. Jam says hi. Valerie, Dr. Johari, Dimples Wimples, Adele, Brittiani, Shay, Renee, 8. Hello, 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 hello. Okay. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of get into it and get right into it. And we're going to start with what I was looking at, what I was paying attention to that brought me to kind of, look around. Look around. So, I'm going to share that with you all so we can all be on the same page when I start going down when I start explaining things, right? So, okay, let me share the screen. So, as you all know, I have Twitter. I keep Twitter so that I can be nosy. I like to see what's going on around me. See what's going on in the world, see what's going on around me. So, last week there was a speech, okay? Our president, he had a speech or whatnot. So, and we're here on Twitter. This is my Twitter. Let me add this in. So yeah, I was on Twitter and just looking around, and I noticed that last week after the speech, whatever speech it was that President Biden made, um, you know, it was something interesting going on with regard to the speech. So this is the hashtag Biden dementia, right? Biden dementia was trending last week. This was whatever day it was that he made that speech. Um, Let me see. It was towards the end of the week. It was probably midweek. But anyway, Biden dementia was trending last week, right? So we can kind of look through some of this, right? He was saying that he met president, he was switching up the presidents, the Egyptian president with the Mexican president. Um, Biden dementia, it was a thing. Like I said, you can see this is February 9th here. So Biden dementia, every time he make a speech and listen, President Biden, he is old. To me, this is elder abuse, but I digress. It's not for me to make the decisions. He's 81 years old. The questions with regard to his mental faculties, right? Is he still there? Is he still, you know, so Biden dementia was a thing. Biden dementia was a thing. So I was looking at it last week, and like I said, it was just making me think, right? Um, because we all know, we should probably be taking care of, those family members or whatnot when they're experiencing these things, right? So Biden dementia was a thing. And then after Biden dementia, Vice President Harris, she was trending on Twitter. It was right after this. It was all within like the same hourly span. And they were just like, well, if something happens to Biden, we definitely don't want Kamala to take over. Some people wanted Kamala to take over. Some people don't want her to take over. If something, I'm not wishing that on anybody. I'm not wishing that on him. If something were to happen to him, we do have lines of succession within our established government in which the VP would take over. So I'm looking at this, right? Biden dementia, Kamala, she was trending right after that. Anyway, it went. So I was just like, okay, well, this is interesting. This is interesting. So that made me kind of, yeah. She said, I've always felt like there should be age restrictions. Yeah, I agree. Because, you're stumbling around, you're falling around, you're fumbling around, you can't think, you it's, that time should be a very delicate and easygoing time in our life, right? So I'm looking at that. And it just made me think. It just made me think because remember, we were talking about the solar eclipse, right? We're talking about the total solar eclipse that is happening April 8th of this year. This is like the first major solar eclipse since the one in 2017, since the August 2017 one. All right. This is gonna be the major solar eclipse. So I was just like, okay, well, so let's look, let's see, because we really at that point, when that was trending, we were really 2 months out. So that was like the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, sometime last week when all this was trending on Twitter. I was like, okay, so about 2 months out from this total solar eclipse, and this is some of the conversation going on Twitter. So I put on my tinfoil hat. I was like, well, let me pull up the charts. So I'm going to do that. Let me pull up the charts so we can kind of look at this together. Okay. So we can kind of look at this together. So, let me pull these up, go into my photos and pull these up because I think that we should have a conversation. So yeah, pictures. Okay. So let me open this up and let me present this to you all. Present. So let me present this to you all. Window. Okay. Okay. So let me see if you all can see it here. I just shared it, so it should pop up. Why is this? Okay. This should just be a window. It's not that hard. Okay, there it is. Okay, boom. All right. So we can see this here, right? We can see this. Okay. So let's go back over it. Let's go into it, and then I'm going to show you some other stuff, right? Okay. So President Biden, his natal chart is this inner circle. Okay. His is this inner circle. The total eclipse, as it happens at the exact moment in DC, that is the outer ring. Okay. That's the outer ring. So the first thing that I think that's important, we have this total solar eclipse that's going to be going on, right? As we can see, we have this whole stellium going on over here. Okay. We have a couple of conjunctions that's going on that, and I think it's going to be important to point that out because we kind of talked about this before with the when we kind of touched on, how the solar eclipses and then like the whole migrant situation and the way that the country is going to have to, make decisions about things. It may not be a nice time, right? So if we're looking over here, if you look on the right side, there's going to be a conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus, right? 21 degrees, 19 degrees is going to be in Taurus, right? So, going to be in Taurus. This is happening, okay? This is happening. Hey, Faith Speaks Life. This is happening. And I don't think that, I'm not saying that it's the worst thing that could happen, but I think we really should pay attention to that day just by going by this. This isn't spirits telling me anything. I'm just going by what I'm looking at in front of me. Okay. So Uranus and Jupiter are conjuncted. Uranus, you're going to have those this is sudden and impactful. Okay. Sudden and impactful happening, right? Sudden and impactful. And since we're comparing this, and when it pulls up, it compares it to the natal chart, This is happening in Joe Biden's sixth house. Okay. So if we count the bottom half, this is happening in his sixth house. Okay. The sixth house is the house of health. So when you get sick, when you have illnesses, this is that house. It's also the house of what do you do on the day to day? Okay, your routines. How do you live? Your schedules. So we have something sudden, something small turning into a mountain happening in Joe Biden's sixth house on this day of this eclipse. On this day of this total eclipse. Now, remember, we have a lot going on. We have this conjunction going on, and then we have down there at the bottom, you can see at the bottom, we have Saturn and Mars conjuncted. Saturn and Mars conjuncted. So we got two people that don't know how to behave, someone who got sudden energies, someone who's going to expand all of that happening here on this day. And as is all aspected to the president. Not to mention, okay, during this time, Mercury is going to be in retrograde. So get y'all Mercury in retrograde. Mercury is also going to be in retrograde during the time of this eclipse. You see Mercury down there. It's going to be at 24 degrees Aries. Mercury is going to be in Aries, retrograde. We have Saturn and Mars conjunct in Pisces. Then we have this sudden Jupiter Uranus conjunction, okay? And this conjunction right here is happening in his sixth house. Now, the sixth house, and I know this probably sounds like mumbo jumbo for a lot of people, but roll with me. This happening in his sixth house, the ruler of the sixth house is Mercury. So this conjunction right here is happening in the sixth house, in Joe Biden's sixth house on this day of the eclipse. Something sudden. We don't know what it is, but something potentially sudden turning into some monstrosity, okay? Happening in the sixth house of health, of day-to-day, of local travel, okay? Happening here, this is where it's happening for him, okay? This is where it's happening for him. Now, the ruler of the sixth house is Mercury. Mercury is about to be retrograde. Mercury will be retrograde at the time of this. Then we have this Saturn and Mars conjunction, okay? Saturn and Mars conjunction. And then what's really, really interesting is here. Remember, the outside ring is the day of the eclipse. The inner ring is his birth chart. Now, looking at Uranus, you can see Uranus here is at 21 degrees. This is completely opposite his natal Mercury, 21 degrees. So something sudden, okay, something sudden potentially happening. We can get news. Now, it doesn't mean that necessarily something bad is going to happen to him. I don't want that. Okay, I'm not wishing it. I'm just looking at the information in front of me. I'm just looking at the information in front of me. Okay. So this sudden here, conjunct with Jupiter, opposing his natal Mercury. But remember, Mercury is going to be in retrograde. Mercury is going to be in retrograde. Okay. So we have this. No, it's not going to reverse the situation. But when Mercury is in retrograde, we have a lot of issues with timing. We have a lot of issues with electronics. We have a lot of issues with local travel. Okay, communications, e-commerce, business transactions, all kinds of things when Mercury is in retrograde. Okay, because it's giving you time to address things that you probably should have addressed before. Okay, right, contracts, right. So Mercury is going to be in retrograde. This Uranus, opposing his natal Mercury. This Mercury is going to be retrograde. We have this foolishness here. And then we have these two right here, Mars and Saturn in conjunction. So we have these powers here. Okay. We have this energy going on. And all of this with the heightened focus energy of this total solar eclipse. Hey, Lysanders. Hey, Candy Me. Okay. So there's a possibility for something to be announced, for something to transpire, maybe publicly, maybe privately. But this is a big deal for him because again, this is countering his natal Mercury. Okay. His natal Mercury. Okay. This is countering that. Now, I'm also looking at this too because on this day, his south node, okay, so his north node is here, his south node is here. Okay. This is happening in Libra, but Libra again is ruled by Mercury. So again, we're looking at this application of Mercury to him. Okay. This could be something sudden. I would definitely say, I don't know who all listening or whatever, but make sure the president is not rushing anywhere. Make sure he not being hard-headed. He want to go do this. He want to go do that. Because this energy is prone to accidents. This energy is prone to things getting out of hand quickly. This energy is prone to sudden shocks, sudden communications, certain messages. You have to say something. This energy is very, very ripe. It's very, very potent. Okay. It's very, very potent. Now, for him, this eclipse is happening in his fifth house. Okay. Which is ruled by Leo. Okay. But the thing about here in the fifth house, this is where risk is. Risk lives here. When you take risks, when you are doing something you probably shouldn't be doing, okay, things that are issues here become serious matters very, very quickly. Okay. Things that happen here become serious matters very, very quickly. Okay. So again, I'm not saying something, I hope nothing happens. Hey, El Boogie. Happy birthday to El Boogie. I hope nothing bad happens. Okay. I hope nothing bad happens. But again, we're going to look at it a little bit further. We're going to drill down into this a little bit further. Okay. Hey, Brother Clarence, how you doing? Okay. So we're going to look into this a little bit further. Okay. So remember, on this day, I just want everyone to prepare themselves anyway, because Mercury is going to be retrograde. And when you have the power of day and night in such a short amount of time with these eclipses are kicking off points. They are energetic kicking off points, and they kick certain things off. Okay. They start new cycles, they start new things. Okay. Because you have day and night within a matter of minutes. The power is very potent. Okay. So, like I said, we have this eclipse going on. It's going to be a total solar eclipse. This is happening for Biden in his fifth house, where things become serious matters quickly. We have this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction opposing his natal Mercury. Again, Mercury is going to be retrograde. Mercury is going to be retrograde. More prone to accidents, more prone to miscommunications. And then this right here, this suddenness is happening in his sixth house of health. Okay, sixth house is health. Okay, your fitness, your diet. It's also your local travel, your day-to-day stuff, stress management, healthy living, and all of that. The sixth house is ruled by Mercury. Okay, Mercury is gonna be whole retrograde right here. So I hope nothing happens. I don't want anything to happen, but this could potentially be something. I hope he got some astrologers, magicians, whatever it is. I hope he got them people. And I hope that they're looking at this, okay, and working on it. Excuse me, because this it's yeah, it's some things going on. It's some things going on. Okay. So with this being said, I mean, like I said, we don't know. Some of anything can happen that day. I hope nothing bad happens to him, but I hope that any risk to him is mitigated and taken care of. So, talking about this, let me pull up this other chart so we can look at it because I want us to, again, have the conversation. So, let me pull this up. Let me pull this up. Let me pull up this other chart so we can have it. Okay, so let me pull this up. No, I want to stop the screen. We're going to pull up the other chart because, again, like I said, I want you all to understand the conversation. I want you all to understand the conversation. Okay. So let me present this screen. Oop, this one. Okay. Hey, Tanjon. Okay. So now, all right, we're here. So we just looked at Biden's chart, right? This is Kamala's with respect to the solar eclipse that's happening, right? Because we have to look at them as a pair because they are number one and number two in line, right? Potentially, if something were to happen to him, who's going to pull in behind him? That's what the vice president does, right? In this holding the space, of the president if something happens to the president. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't want anything to happen. Okay. But let's look at this chart. Not Tanjon saying that's Gupta Harris. We're going to behave today, Tanjon. Okay. So noticing that, lining this up with her natal chart. So we still see the conjunctions because the conjunctions aren't there, right? But look at hers. Look at her chart. The things that are really sticking out to me about this is that she is having in her 10th house, okay? In her 10th house, this is where this conjunction is going on. We have Neptune here too, right? This is where the solar eclipse is for her. This is the 11th house going on here, but I kind of want to look right here, right? Kamala Harris is about to have a Jupiter return, or she's very close to it because here's her natal. Her natal is here. Her Jupiter's at 24 degrees Taurus, okay? When all this is happening, this conjunction here, this this Uranus Jupiter conjunction here is happening here. So something changing as far as it pertains to structure, right? Because we have a little bit of structure going on here. Okay, so something potentially changing all of a sudden, and she's having a Jupiter return. Jupiter returns. These are times for expansion, right? Because Jupiter expands things. So whatever it is, Jupiter gives you more. It gives you abundance. It expands things. So she's having a Jupiter return here. This is expansion. Jupiter returns are, it could be good times, right? Because we want that Jupiter being known as the great benefic, right? With Saturn being the great malefic, right? So Jupiter and these benefits here, okay, so potentially, and then like I said, when we're looking at here, this is the 10th house right here. The 10th house, it's an action house. It's the most public of the chart. So this is where your social status is. Um, authority figures. This is, your career. Okay, are you a professional expert? This is structure, this is corporations. This is so we have something going on here in her 10th house of career, right? But then this is how it happened in Pisces. But Pisces, this is the last house of Pisces. So this again brings us back to focus on what is going on here, potentially in this. What is this Jupiter return going to bring her? Okay, what is it going to bring her? Okay, energetic remedy says Nikki Haley said a few days ago she predicted in 30 days Joe Biden wouldn't be our president. What does Nikki know? She might be looking at this. I mean, in 30 days, I mean, let's see, it's the 13th, so that would be March 13th. I mean, I don't know. Um, I don't know if she's gonna move, but this is in relationship to this. So we have some type of transformation and expansion happening here because this is happening in the 12th house. Okay, so this energy here in the 10th house, with these two being in Pisces, is connected to this energy here because although this is in Taurus, these two are in Taurus and she's having a Taurus return. This is also happening in her 12th house. This is endings, this is transformations. Endings and transformations, right? And then I find it interesting that her North Node, which is what you're going towards, what you're moving towards, is happening in this 11th house, right? This 11th house is Saturn, Uranus energy. So this here, this North Node here is, working with the energies of these two here because the planets are Saturn and Uranus. So this here, this North Node, this, all of this right here is connected. All this right here is connected. And notice that this is happening for her, like I said, on the top half of the chart. The top half of the chart, this is where things are public and outward facing, as opposed to the bottom half of the chart. So these things going on here, I don't really see too much being, you know, um, I'm not going to say things wouldn't be difficult for her. Again, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going to happen. But like I said, just looking at our president's chart, okay, listening to the rumbles about his potential dementia, he isn't fit, okay, with all the energy of that solar eclipse, the potential for some of anything to happen is possible, especially because we have these energies, we have these boundary energies, we have this is action energy right here. We all know Mars is action energy. We have the boundaries here. Saturn is work. We have this action energy here. This eclipse action energy. This action energy. There's a lot of action, and then Mercury is going to be retrograde. There's going to be a lot of action energy happening on the day of the eclipse. So much is going to be going on. Okay. So much is going to be going on. Right. So much is going to be going on. So what I'm really curious about is what is this Uranus going to bring us? What is this Uranus Jupiter conjunction in Taurus going to bring us? What is it going to bring us? Okay. What is it going to bring us? I don't know, but it's going to be very 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 interesting. Very very interesting. Now, I want to show something else which makes it so much more interesting. I want to show something else, show you all something else. So let me pull something up. Let me look at a couple of these comments. Starry Eyed says, I wonder if they look at this beforehand. Yes, you could. Electional astrology is a thing where you can look in the future and find the best dates to do certain things. Electional astrology is a thing. Okay. Listen, I feel like it's elder abuse at this time, just because, yeah, yeah, when they start getting forgetting things and remembering things. Yeah, yeah. Yes, I have noticed that. I have noticed that. So, yeah, definitely it's gonna be an exciting time to be alive. So let me pull up something else that I wanted to show you all with regard to all this energy because um I feel like the energy lines up. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting few months. So let me pull this up because I want to show you all this. So let me pull up my okay. So let me change the chart because I actually have the software open. Let me change the chart and let's go here because it's something that I want to show you all, right? Um okay. Something that I want to show you all. Okay. So let me remove this, stop the screen, and then I'm going to present the other screen, share screen. Okay. So let me go to this window. Okay. So what we are looking at a little bit deeper into how things could potentially, I mean, just looking at the information, right? Yes, thank you so much. Like this video and subscribe if you're interested in content like this. Okay. So we're looking at Joe Biden's um perfections, zodiacal releasings, right? Okay. So we can't look into 2024 because he hasn't made a birthday yet, right? So we look at 2023, November 20th, 2023, because that was the birthday. So he's 81 years old, right? He's 81 years old. So we look here, we can see this is Mercury. Now remember, we were just showing the Mercury's going to be in retrograde, okay? That Uranus was completely opposite his natal Mercury, okay? So this is the activations going on here, okay? So now zodiacal releasings, this is a Hellenistic way to look at things, especially as it pertains to people. So breaking down time periods in people's lives, right? Okay, so we see, right? So let's go here. So you have to start. So it starts off in decades, then years, then months, then days. This is how this is broken down. Okay. So if we look here, okay, because he's 81 years old. Okay, he's 81 years old. Now, it's funny how this lines up, but it doesn't really, it makes sense because we can see, right? That's so silly. He's so silly, Tanjon. Okay. So we can see, okay, because we have peak period, which is the plus sign, peak period. Now, this peak period, he had what's called a preparatory period here, right? We saw that. We saw how the preparatory period went, right? Because this is when he had his peak period. A peak period is just a time when you're really busy. We can see this, right? Because this was when he became president, right? Same thing. Well, like if we look back here, if we go back into Joe Biden's life, we can kind of see it here. Okay. So February 7th, 2008, right? Those of us who are old enough, we remember what was happening in the country. Okay. We remember that was a presidential election year. Okay. So he was building things up. He was working real hard. Okay. Working real hard. Okay. Working real hard. Okay. working real hard. Okay. So we all these things. So this right here, I find this very important. This is important, like I said, just looking back, because we can see these are the times, right? These are the times. This was, we all know he ended up being Obama's vice president, right? We all know he ended up being Obama's vice president. Okay. So when we have a loosing of the bond, it means that your preparatory work and all like that, something is about to change for you. Something is about to change for you. So as we can see, you know, we remember, right? 2008. And then, if we go forward, okay, we go forward, looking into things, we go forward, okay. So yeah, we go forward. So we see all this hard work time, right? It's hard work time. Okay, we see it. It's here. It correlates with, his life, right? Getting into some good work here. Okay. 2020. Okay, we going into a presidential election. Okay, peak period, working hard. This was his preparatory period. He had a preparatory period of a few years, and then 2020 comes. Okay, we know presidential election. So this is getting in right here. So this is very much lined up with his life, right? Okay, so like I said, look in here. Okay, looking here. Okay, so now he's 81 years old. He's 81 years old, right? He's 81 years old. Let's see what's kind of going on here. Okay, so we have some interesting things going on here. Is there a potential for him for something to happen here? Loosening up especially around the time of this eclipse, this total solar eclipse, it's definitely possible. Like I said, we don't want anything to happen. Okay, so so he's about to have, you know, a busy time coming up. Okay, busy time coming up. Okay, so and then again, I don't want to look too far ahead, but I don't want to look too far ahead. You know, I mean, it's possible he could. It's possible. Like I said, I don't want to look too far ahead, but it's possible. I mean, we might see. Yeah, things are real interesting. But yeah, so like I said, we're just looking at it. Okay, 2024. Okay, 2024. He's having some some ups, some downs, right? Some ups and some downs. Some days are better than others as we look at it, right? We all know this. Some days are better than others. So, you know, getting into something right here. I don't know what's gonna happen. I hope nothing I hope nothing bad happens, right? I hope nothing bad happens. Now look at this. Here. Okay, so April. Here, we're not here yet. Okay, so let's look some more. Yeah. So this is the day of the eclipse. Okay. Now, it's interesting because he had a prep period, right? He had a prep period. Okay, now if we're looking at um because I changed a lot, okay. So this was, again, we see it all lining up. We see it all lining up. This is his vice presidential career. We see him probably thinking about it here to run here. Um 2021, 2021, September 26, 2021. We all know what was happening in the country in 2021. Okay, it was a lot going on. Okay, a lot going on. The president was busy. Now he has entered a period of time where something is lessening in his life. Something is lessening in his life, losing of the bond. Something is lessening here, right? And he won't have another hardworking period for 2 years. So if we go here, okay, February 10th, as far as this year, he'll have some good weeks, but as far as like a major in his life again, this was his last like really good peak period, 2021. Now the energetics have changed, and now something is about to change. Something is about to be let go. Something is about to be released. Okay. And this started in April of last year. Okay. So we don't see anymore, so this is I feel like this is major. I feel like it. Okay. Well, time will tell what will happen. Okay. So he had a couple good days, good weeks, right? But yeah, so and it's funny like how we get here and then, so that's very interesting there. So let me pull up Kamala's and then we can look at hers too. It could be because of his son. It could be. It could be because of his son. Something sudden potentially happening. Okay. Something sudden, something unexpected potentially happening. It could be. It absolutely could be. So um let me pull up Kamala's. Because like I said, we're just looking at the information. Yeah, it's really weird. The energy is really weird. So let me just pull up the information. Let me pull up the sheets. Um, and then share this with you all. Present, share screen, window, actual sheets. Okay. Okay. So looking at the sheets, okay, this is for Kamala Harris, right? So Kamala Harris, so we can also see, right? Um, she had her major prep period. Again, this prep period aligns with she's vice president. Get into this whole vice presidential thing. Complete lines up. Okay. That energy completely lines up. Okay. Let me just make sure. Okay, I'm in the right one. Okay. So now we saw with Joe Biden's, there was a loosening of the bond. Okay, something getting ready to change, something getting ready to be let go, something is going to be different. Not necessarily negative, but the bond of something is being loosened. Okay, so we saw it was a loosening of the bond for him, November 10th, 2023. This is a peak period for her. Something is now her next period, okay? Because remember, this is decades over here. We're not looking at decades. We're looking at this is the years, okay? Okay, vice presidency here. Okay, so then she had this is a completion period. This is a preparatory period, and now she's getting ready to do a whole lot of work. Okay, she's getting ready to do her work. Okay, so we slide on over. Okay, December 24th, 2023. Okay, so things are slowly changing. Okay, energetically, things are slowly changing. Okay, so we're looking. Things are kind of changing. Things change will change a little bit here, and that's literally this was yesterday. Here, okay. So when we start looking here, we haven't gotten to March yet, but if we notice, okay, so we have a preparatory and peak period here. Okay, because this is days. Level 4 over here is literally days. April 5th, April 10th, after the eclipse, something being changing. Could it potentially be her going from vice president to president because potentially something has happened to the president? Astrologically speaking, could this be? Because remember, we saw Biden's was loosing. His was loosing, his was letting go. This right here, this is April 15th. So something changing. Could it be? I'm not saying that's what it is. We're just having a conversation. Okay. We're just having a conversation. So something has loosened, let go. It's time for a change. Okay. And then we go right over here to April 18th. Now, this is a peak period. This is when someone will be very, very busy, like taking on more responsibility because you got a promotion, because you got a job promotion. Okay. Are y'all with me? Okay. So this is, like I said, just looking at the charts. Okay. His again, I hope nothing happens, but I just hope that nothing happens to where we end up in a chaotic situation. Okay. I really hope nothing happens. I hope this is just more work for her in her position as vice president. And, he may have a cold on, you know, on the day of this eclipse. But this energy around this eclipse, this is building up. She had peak period, preparatory period, preparatory. She's getting ready for something else, for something more. Okay. And we don't really see any major losing of the bonds for her until here. And then it's really, something kind of changes, a little bit here. I don't know how long stuff takes. But like I get said, hopefully all goes well. But I really do think that this eclipse, we have Saturn in Pisces, we have Mars, doing its thing. We have this Uranus, Jupiter conjunction. Mercury is going to be in retrograde. April is going to be very, very energetic. Okay, so if you out here feeling weird or strange or the energies are about to energy, they are about to energy, okay? They're about to energy. It's a very weird election year. To someone who was saying that um someone I mean we don't know. Once we get closer to the election, I'll kind of look at it. But I was kind of looking at some charts. Per the astrology charts, it doesn't look good for Biden. Per the charts, it doesn't look good for Biden. Per the charts, it looks good for Trump as far as president. Per the charts, there's so much more that goes into it, so much more that goes into everyday life. But per the charts, and we're just talking and having a conversation right now. So, um, I don't know. I don't know. Listen, listen. I don't know. I know those of you who are native Californians have, lived with policies and things like that made under her administration, so I don't know. But I will say that things look very interesting. Okay. Things look very interesting energetically. And again, like I said, I don't want anything to happen. I don't want anything weird happen that turns that, does something weird for the country. But the United States is experiencing, the Pluto return. We're gonna have our what? A Chiron return. And I think another planetary return. It's topsy-turvy here in this country, but all this astrology, all this energy is out here. Okay. If we examine the end, if we examine the energy, we may be able to kind of pick up on what could potentially happen, right? But energetically speaking, because like I said, let me pull up the charts again. Like, energetically speaking, something when we are looking at this, okay, when we are looking at this, okay, yeah, something is going on. And again, like I said, I find it interesting that like when Biden was born, he was kind of, yeah, this his midheaven and his north node headed towards, in the house of the most public, this 10th house right here. This is when he was born, right? and the North Node, which looks like a horseshoe. Now, if we're looking at on the day of the total eclipse, his South Node, which represents endings, things ending, okay, it's here. It's in the 11th house. It's almost like the sun is almost set, which is really how I like to look at it. Like the sun is almost set, okay? And Kamala's chart, like I said, Kamala is about to have a Jupiter return. She is about, hopefully, like I said, hopefully things are just going to go well for her and whatever she needs things to go well in. But, like I said, it was very interesting last week seeing people talk about quote unquote Biden's dementia. Kamala Harris, they don't want, some people want her for president, some people don't. I really have no dog on this fight. But then also just just looking at these energies, looking at these energetics, right? Because if you look, you know, again, it could be some of anything, but being that for Biden, we got stuff happening here, and this is like it's happening here for him in the lower half of the chart, right? So things that are more personal, things that are more close to home. Okay. So we got some things happening here. Family will be here in this fourth house. And here in the fifth house, you have issues here, risks here. So how these, could affect him here is way differently how things could affect Kamala because the placements are different, right? Even though it's the same energy, the energy placements are different. The energy placements for her are going to be very public per the chart. Okay. I'm not predicting anything. I'm just saying per the chart, per the energetics, things very much more public and forward for her, potentially more work for her. So, um, you know, yeah, it's weird. Things are weird and I can feel it. I know you all can feel it, but I just kind of wanted to look at that again because like I said, I'm not wishing anything bad. I don't want to see, a president potentially, I don't want to see any of that. Um, but I will say that these charts look very, very interesting for both of them, especially for this day. Um, especially for this day. Again, I'm not saying anything's going to happen to him, but in the small, minuscule chance that something does, again, I'm not wishing it on him, you know, we shouldn't be surprised if something were to. We shouldn't be surprised. Okay? So, yeah. Yeah. Listen. So, that was just what I wanted to kind of share with you all. And hopefully this is bringing a different or makes you think about things because again, the way that this total eclipse is moving across our country, right? Moving across the United States, it's going to be activating things here in the United States. The same way that the 2017 total eclipse activated some things in the United States, right? So again, we have a lot of energy, potentially going to be sudden, has the potential to be volatile, has the potential to change structures, right? This total eclipse is the beginning of a new cycle. Okay. So, with everything that's going on, I just wanted to kind of, like I said, just look at the energy, kind of show you all the energy so that as we're watching day to day what's happening, um, news stories, whatever, whatnot, that we're paying attention and we can see how things potentially play out. So, with that being said, I'm going to let you all go because that's really what I wanted to show you all and share with you all. And I know it's not as exciting as a reading, as like a tarot reading, but I think that we need to make sure that we're paying attention to other things going on around us and other things that potentially can affect us, right? Including stuff like this. So, again, with that being said, I'm not going to hold you all. I'm going to let you all go. And it's definitely something to think about. It's definitely something to think about, especially things potentially happening for her in the very public top half of her chart, things happening for him potentially, in the bottom half of the chart, right? Again, I don't want anything to happen, but the energy is out here and it's going to do what it needs to do to usher in new things, new cycles for us here, as this country, as we're, you know, we have some things that we have to deal with as this country. So I hope you all, again, this gave you something to think about. And I hope that you all are monitoring things and just remember that, in all of this, change is needed. Change is needed. And society has to start doing things, to make things better for all of us, especially with us here in this country. So, don't be alarmed, but just understand if things happen and pop off, then they must. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out. So I want to shout out all of my Patreon patrons and channel members and subs and everyone that rocks with me and supports me here on this channel on YouTube. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you all. Yeah, I see you say you have chills. It's interesting, right? And I'm gonna be doing more of these, like I said, looking into things astrologically. Cause honey, looking at certain events, I was looking at I was looking at charts for certain popular events well, not popular. I was looking at the charts for major events that have happened in this country. And baby, if we were only paying attention, then we can kind of sidestep some things. Um, so again, like I said, it just a different aspect of things. Yeah, definitely keep an eye out. I am too. Like I said, I'm on Twitter and I watch things changing all the time and I'm seeing what people are saying and I'm seeing things that you will not see for the most part on quote unquote the news. Um and that was the big thing why Twitter was so powerful when various countries in the Middle East were doing their things, back in 2011, 2012, Twitter and the online community was getting the word out about what is happening in these countries that you don't see on the news. So I pay attention to Twitter because yeah, there are trolls there, but when you see what's trending, it makes you look and deep dive into things. So you're very welcome. Brittany says, I like the chart reads. It gives a different look at what's really going on. Yes, yes, yes. No, it's not Nyla. I'm Q. Hey, how you doing? Um, I don't know. I don't know. I appreciate you being here, Tanjon. I appreciate you being here. Yes, people say that we do sound alike at times. Yeah, but yeah. So, like I said, we're gonna do more of these chart breakdowns because, like I said, I am looking at things, and especially when it gets closer to once we have our quote unquote whoever the nominees are for these parties, yeah, then we can get into it and we can look. We can get into it and we can look. But there's a whole lot going on right now. In these political streets. So, but yeah, once things get closer, I'm gonna pull that up. We're gonna look at some other charts. If you haven't seen my video review on the astrology around the pandemic, go back and watch it because the astrology was astrologying. Okay. Go watch my video when we were looking at the astrology of one Jeffrey Epstein. Go back and watch that because I think that's very interesting too, just looking at things. So We're going to be doing more and more of these, right? So, again, I love you all. Any general astrological advice? Any general advice? I don't have any astrological advice, but I did pull one card for you, and it's the Six of Cups. So make sure that you are remembering those people who have been good to you. Make sure you are remembering those people that you love and are close to. Remember that warmth in your energy, the good energy around that. You may want to look back into your childhood or look back into the past for some things for today and kind of think about things, and apply that to, you know, your next solar return. So the rest of this year. So, but definitely remember the good things. Remember the good things and that everything isn't a struggle. So, yeah, Flora says, "Girl, I just know them nominees are going to be a hot mess. Girl, it is going to be the hottest of messes. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It is going to be very interesting. Very interesting to see. They got a bunch of people out here. Everybody's screeching like, screeching like birds out here. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially what's going on with Trump's. You know, the courts just said, no, you ain't got no immunity. Ain't no immunity, bitch. The courts just said ain't no immunity. So, for Trump. So, we have to see how things play out. We have to see how things play out. So it's interesting out here. But yeah, like I said, um, I love you all. And yeah, I love you all. And I'll be back um at some point with something else for us to look at and discuss. And I think I want to know where I want to go with it too. Nyla sent me something earlier today. So, but yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. So, all right, I'm gonna go. Love you all. See you around these YouTube streets. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Lysandra says this makes me pause because I know a lot of prophets use the charts to see possible outcomes for the future, then turn around and bash in astrology. Oh yeah, absolutely. This is what they do. This is what they do. That's why I said in my stream, late last year, I was just like, you can't bash us in these practices and then want us to turn around and say, save y'all, and say, for us to save y'all and save the community and everything else, that means we have to use these gifts, the same ones that y'all condemn. So which one is it going to be? You can't do both. So, mhm, exactly. So that's it. That's all. I'll see y'all around. Love y'all. Bye.